Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is Force, and today we will be taking a look at FireFall. The game has officially launched. I first heard about this title in 2010 when it was first officially announced, and I actually first covered this game here on the channel. I just went back and took a look at my first video on FireFall. It was in May of 2012. So it's been 2 years since I initially did a video on this game. It's been 4 years since I first heard this game existed, and now it's done. Finally, it's finished. It's a complete whole package. At least it's feature complete as far as Red 5 Studios is concerned, enough so that they're releasing it to the public. This is a free-to-play MMO FPS. If you have not seen prior coverage from me here on the channel, it is currently available through Steam. You can hop in, you can start playing. I just want to show you some gameplay and give you a little bit of an introduction. This is not a review. This is not an expert's coverage of FireFall, because although I've been playing it on and off for over 2 years, the game has changed so much, and I would usually hop into the game and play for a couple of weeks at the time and then go away for months. So it's not like I've been sticking with this game nonstop for 2 years. I've just played it on and off throughout the course of these past 2 years. So yeah, free to play MMO FPS. You can also play in third person here, but you know, it's usually a little bit easier to aim and shoot people in the face when you're playing in first person. There's FOV sliders, so if you don't happen to like the FOV that I'm playing at in first or third person, I know that that's something that you can change if you want. And let's just jump right into the game. First of all, there's this cool gliding system. One of my favorite parts of this game. Gosh, and one of the things I don't really enjoy is these little lag hitches that we happen to get from time to time, which I don't really understand why. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if we're chalking it up to optimization. I've got a pretty beefy computer, GTX 780 Ti, an i7-4930K, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM. I mean, it's a pricey computer, it's a high-end computer, and it can run most games no problem on Ultra. I just got this thing last year for, well, it was more than $2,000, I'll tell you that at least, so. But yeah, it hitches up a little bit, which, I mean, that has to be poor optimization, right? Or maybe there's something I can tweak in the settings. I'm sure there's something along those lines. I'll look into that at some point in the future. So I'm going to be playing it a little bit, and I'm just diving right back in right now, and I wanted to sort of just give you a brief introduction. Before we hop into the gameplay, first thing I want to talk about is the class system known as battle frames. So here's a battle frame station. This is where we can switch. Throughout the course of these past few years, I've invested in this game in the sense that I've spent money, and I managed to unlock all of the different frames. You only start off with the base frames, the base Ares frames, which will be the Dreadnought, the Assault, the Biotech, the Engineer, and the Recon. And these are the sort of the base levels, and then there's specialized versions of each of these. So for example, I'm playing as the Assault, the sort of in-your-face, he's the Assault character. It's a shooter, you know? And then with Tiger Claw, I believe it's more of like a single person. That says right here, utilizes the fusion cannon, which does direct impact over radial damage, whereas the Firecat is more area of effect damage. Or we've got, like, for the Dreadnought, this is sort of your heavy armor, tanky type character, and the Rhino is more offensive, the Mammoth is more defensive, and the Arsenal is like, it's got an arsenal of different weapons, and I guess he's more of an offensive character, I don't really know. Or for the Biotech is the healing battle frame, and there's a Dragonfly, which is the healing focus, or Recluse, which actually does a lot of damage over time. So this game works with these battle frames, these 5 base frames: Dreadnought, Assault, Biotech, Engineer, Recon. Recon, Sniper, Engineer is turrets. Again, Biotech is healing, Assault is in your face, Dreadnought is tanky, and then the specialized versions of these. So you have a character, but you level up your battle frame. So for example, right now, with my Firecat battle frame, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, I'm level 14. So what this means is that with this battle frame on, I can effectively do missions and kill level 14 enemies, which are right in this area that I am right now. However, if I were to switch battle frames and go to like one of my level 1 battle frames here, like Arsenal, if I were to try to fight level 14 characters with this Arsenal battle frame, it wouldn't go so well. I just don't have the damage. You notice I have no abilities there on my ability bar, 1 through 4. Those are all locked, so I need to level up to start to unlock those. So yeah, you don't level up your character, you level up these individual frames, and you can swap these frames at any given time. So in some way, that's a really cool thing, because you don't have to worry about logging in and out to all these different characters. You can sort of switch your role right on the fly. But at the other time, you're gonna have to grind all of those out. So if I primarily play as a fire cat like I'm doing now, but then my friend hops on and I want to heal him, well, if I go on to my biotech frame, which is a lower level, then I'm not gonna be able to play with him at the levels we were previously playing at, if that makes sense to you. If we're playing together in level 14 areas and I want to heal and I switch to my level 5 whatever healing frame, I'm not going to be able to effectively play with him because I'll die very quickly. I won't do a lot of damage to the enemies. But I suppose that's no different than if you were to switch from a damage class to a healing class in other MMOs. So just, you know, something to keep in mind. Now, we're a couple minutes in and we haven't seen a single damn thing shot. And I know that's frustrating for me when I watch videos about games. So why don't we go shoot some things and get some things underway. So in order to do that, we can just go out in the world and start blowing up enemies. But we're going to go to this job board. And this job board is where this is basically the quest hub, okay? So in every one of these locations, these points of interest here, is what these little tower things are called. In every one of these locations, there will be an Ares job board, and this is where you pick up quests. So instead of going to your standard NPCs, you go to this job board and you pick up local quest in this area to complete in this area. So we're gonna pick up a quest. You can see there's a few of them here. And why don't we just pick up Cyber Wars? And there's a bunch of different things. And what's gonna happen is as soon as you accept it, you're gonna get a call and it'll sort of give you a little bit of a briefing. Now in the past I've been quiet for these little conversations, but really sometimes they just drone on for way too long and I don't wanna spend half the video not talking because then I can't be informative. But you'll get dialogue, there'll be a story, and it typically works like this. You'll see it's asking me to, so it tells me what's going on, and then I need to go meet someone who would tell me in a little bit more detail what's going on, and then we actually go out and complete it. I don't really like that extra step. It's almost always been the case that I pick up the job, and then I have to talk to someone in town, and then they eventually tell me where to go. And another thing that I don't dig typically is it usually takes a long time for them to tell you what your first objective is. But this one, we can see we've got to go to that SIN sensor terminal over there. I'd like to take a gliding pad, and I'm going to do that by going this way. My particular class right now, so each one of the battle frames, we talked about how the battle frames basically fill different roles. Each one of the battle frames has access to an array of abilities, and the abilities that I have on my character right now, the first one I'm going to show you is my 3, and this is a little jet thrust. So I can go ahead and use up my thruster here, but then if I hit 3, it's going to push me forward a little bit more, and I can make it all the way up top, this is where I want it to be, because there's a nice glider pad up here that I can just easily, I thought there was one right. I guess we could just take that one. I thought there was one on the end though. I guess I'm mistaken. All right, so we're gonna take this glider pad and then we're gonna glide over to that SIN sensor terminal. So essentially this is what you're gonna do in the game. Now there are major story missions. If you hit L, there's sort of a major story progression and it's gated by levels. So you get to do the first one early on and then you have to wait a few levels to do the next one, and I have to wait till level 15 to do the one after that. And something that's interesting about this is that when I switch battle frames, that's gonna block off my access. So you can see I need one more level for mission number 5. If I were to switch to my level 10 battle frame, I would have to wait. And you need to get your it's the battle frame level that's gonna dictate whether or not you can do those missions. But again, that makes sense given that the battle frame level is what determines your character's power, essentially. Okay, so we're gonna go to the SIN sensor terminal. There's gonna be some things to do. This is something that we have to interact with. So let's go walk up to this real quick.
Okay, checking everything.
Okay, so yeah, whoa, gosh, I don't know why there's a virus detected.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Boss, I think your SIN's been infected.
What the hell? My SIN's been hacked. That's terrible. The SIN is like basically your HUD, your heads-up display thing. Oh gosh, I can't see a darn thing. Maybe if I switch to third person, I won't have to deal with this. This is really kind of obnoxious. So yeah, I've got a few different abilities. We've got that thruster that I showed you, and that's also going to leave a trail of fire on the ground, which can be really neat for when you're fighting a big group of enemies. The other ability that we have, we've got an AoE fire damage, so I can show you in first person first. It's going to put fire damage around us, so whenever we're fighting enemies, that'll burn up around them. And then my 2 is sort of this frontal wave that I launch out that does fire damage and also knocks enemies back. And so we can hit that there, and you can see it's a little wave, and anyone who's caught within that wave is going to be pushed back. Now instead of running there, we can actually hop on our LGV. This is a vehicle. This is something that I got, again, for being around with this game for a few years now. I think I picked up my first LGV, I think it was a couple years ago, yeah, and I believe you can also craft them in the game. I don't know a ton about the crafting system because honestly I haven't spent a ton of time with it. Every time I play this game, I'm just interested in killing enemies and stuff. Oh gosh, I can't see, darn it. My Sin's getting hacked. This has never happened to me before. I've actually never had something like this. So the other thing that is interesting about the different classes, so they fill different roles, but along with that, they also have different sort of specialty weapons. So this little weapon here, it's got 2 modes of attack. My left trigger is going to be this lobbing area of effect damage. You can see that hits for 1,000, but my right trigger uses the same amount of ammunition, but each round hits for, you can see, just over 500, and it's going to fire 3 rounds. So if I hit all 3 of these, that's a little bit over 1,500 damage as opposed to just the 1,050 that we get from the left trigger. So when you're fighting a single target, it's good to use right trigger with this weapon if you can manage to hit all 3. Even if you hit 2 of them, it ends up being valuable. But it's especially valuable if you hit all 3. And then just random loot on the ground, we'll pick that up. There we go. Apparently we had to do that twice. You know, something I will say, especially, I'm not like the biggest FPS player in the world, but the hell? That was weird. I'm not the biggest FPS player in the world, so at first when playing FireFall, it really didn't seem like that big of a deal, but after spending a bit of time with Destiny, I do have to say the shooting in this game, it just feels a little bit sluggish. Now there are some explanations for that, you know, besides the programming that goes into the game. What I would be led to believe is that because this is a very much so an MMO in which there are numerous other players around you at any given time, that's where you typically tend to see sort of the sluggishness that comes with MMO combat because of latency compensation to essentially try to even the playing field with all players, or make sure that all players are seeing relatively the same thing at the same time based on the different latencies that different people are going to have. Whereas in a game like Destiny, well, Destiny is only a very small number of people that will ever be around you. I mean, I think at most when playing that game, I've seen maybe 4 or 5 other people in the same area as me. Whereas here in FireFall, I've definitely seen upwards of 10, 20, 30 people all within the same area as I am. The point of all that is that this game obviously has some sort of latency compensation for the reasons I mentioned, but unfortunately that also makes the shooting feel just kind of just floaty, or it's very hard to describe. I heard someone say it feels like you're playing in mud. Like just the movement and the way characters respond and the way the shooting works, as opposed to Destiny's combat is very, very crisp, very on point. It's just something I wanted to point out at the very least. Now that doesn't mean I have still, you know, to various degrees, I've still overall enjoyed this game, and I continue to enjoy checking it out. But the combat definitely leaves a bit to be desired, especially fresh off of the experience that I had with Destiny. So just something to point out, just something to let you know. This is not going to be the crispest or the most responsive FPS experience that you've ever had. It's not going to be, I'm telling you right now. And if you say that this is the most responsive combat you've ever played, you're probably just lying. Or you don't have a lot of FPS experience. One or the other. But yes, anyways, that aside, so there was a mission. So you see me go through the mission. We have an objective. We pick up a job. We talk to an NPC. We have an objective. There you go, mission complete. And then we picked up our rewards. And why don't we actually? That's a good opportunity for us. Why don't we actually take a look at the inventory now? So here's my player inventory, and this is everything that I can use on my particular character here. I also have a inventory for all battle frames if I hit I, and that will show you everything that I have. So I've got different abilities for the battle frames that I'm currently not using that you can see. But if I just hit P, there we go. If I just hit P, you'll see my loadout, and this is everything that this battle frame has access to. Oh wow, I've got all sorts of different things that I could call myself. Let's call myself a beta commando. I don't know, all of these are stupid. Founder, I guess. Tell people, all that tells people is I spent money on this game. All right, so let's take a look here. So we've got, this is our main weapon, and like I said, we've got this 2 different fire modes. We've got that sort of more AoE, and then we've got the single target one, which lobs those 3 volleys. There's also a secondary weapon, which I haven't had to use yet, but this is just sort of a basic assault rifle, essentially. You got I don't know, medium-sized clip, decent reload speed, and there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we don't have gear per se, but you do have weapons as well as a battle frame core. Now, the way customization for individual characters in this game works has gone through several iterations, and this is the one that they've settled on. It's the level up system for your battle frame. You've got your abilities, you've got your weapons, and you've got a battle frame core. This is much simplified compared to what we have had in the past. There used to be all these different levels, like a CPU and thrusters and all sorts of things. You had to like level them up individually, and once you dove in, you could figure it out, but upon first viewing it, it was very convoluted, very confusing for people first jumping into the game. So they've definitely simplified the system, made it much more friendly to new people in this game. So I actually just recently picked up this brand new secondary weapon, so none of these is going to be a replacement, but we can hover over these and you can see varying degrees. We've got things like a power rating, which basically the higher power rating equals more damage, weapon speed, DPS, reload speed, rate of fire, range, all these things, and just by mousing over, you're going to get comparison to the weapon that you currently have. So you could even try this weapon instead, because this weapon is going to have a greater spread, better reload speed, better rate of fire, but the power rating and the DPS is much lower. So the weapon that I have right now basically is a lot better. So there's the primary weapon, the secondary weapons. You can swap in and out your abilities. Each of the battle frames function as different classes, and as a result, you've got access to different abilities. So there's actually a few abilities here that I don't currently have slotted that I could put on. So right now, let's just say my number 2 ability here, okay? My number 2 ability is this frontal fire wave. Now I could switch this out with Crater. So we can go like, I believe we have to take this off first and then put in Crater. Okay, so it's gonna go on a short cooldown, but then now I've got access to the Crater ability. And when we hit 2, I'll go jump up in the air first, and then you hit 2 and it leaps up and then drops down, and the higher you are, I believe the more damage it does. It's kind of got a cool effect like that. But we're gonna put that back out because the one that I have, this is the thermal wave is amazing. And we're gonna have a better thermal wave as well once we hit level 16, but we're gonna stick with this right now. So you've got these different abilities, you can swap them in and out. Besides what I currently have, I've got access to, well, that's my immolate, I already have that. This is actually, yeah, this is a lower level immolate. Oh no, it's a higher level immolate. With a higher, I might actually have to swap that out, because that's got a higher power level, which is going to mean more damage from it. But we've got cooled overcharge. This is going to overcharge all my offensive systems, briefly increasing damage dealt. The immolate you already know about, that's my number 1. I just showed you Crater. You already know about the Inferno Dash, and this is actually, look at this. This is an upgrade as well. It's got more power rating and everything. I might have to switch some of this stuff out. And again, definitely once I hit level 16, I'm going to be putting this in. Now, besides the base abilities, you can augment them with these modules. So I can scroll down here and we have got ability modules. So there's different colors. So these 2 are already slotted with red modules. These are cooled modules, which reduce the cooldown of the abilities. So there's the different colors. There's red, there's yellow, and there's blue. And I guess there's green ability modules and orange. There's actually a few different color for ability modules, as you can see. Looks, I believe weapon modules, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I guess there's more than 3. I originally thought there was only 3 color modules, but obviously that isn't correct. So you can see we've got weapon modules, and we can put these on our weapons or abilities to augment them. So secondary weapon, why don't we go ahead and use some of this? So on the secondary weapon, we've got a red and a yellow module space. So let's check out what we have. This is 20% weapon magazine capacity, and it looks like that's what all of them are. So we're gonna just put one of these. We'll put the highest level one that we can use, and that's gonna be this one. So we're gonna put this in, and this is going to give us 20% more weapon magazine capacity. So we're gonna accept that, and then that's slotted in, wonderful. And then we can also put a red one in there, and we've got 5% weapon rate of fire. So let's put the highest level one in there, so we're gonna do level 13. And we're gonna accept that, so there we go. So now we just augmented our weapon. We've got more magazine capacity and a better rate of fire, awesome. You get the idea. We're gonna be able to take those modules, augment our weapons, augment our abilities, and that's it. And I think that's all I wanted to show you here. Yeah, that's basically it. There's also this perk system in which I don't think I've got access to any more perks right now, but I'm gonna go check. We're gonna go to a battle frame garage, see if I can show you anything else here. I'll show you the perk system at the very least. So we'll go to perks here. You get to pick your perks, and I actually have another perk spot available, so we can pick another perk. So I currently have this perk. Targets that are hit by Firecat abilities are briefly set on fire over time, and we've got a few options. We get reduced damage taken from poison, Reduce damage taken from fire, reduce damage taken from energy, reduce damage taken from bullets, increase sprint speed, increase base movement speed, increase reload speed. After taking damage, armor hardens to reduce the next source of damage by 25%. Ooh, that's actually nice. Reduce damage done to yourself by 40%. Oh, that's for my own AoE effect. Gain additional healing when you pick up or use health packs. Why don't we go with this one? I kind of like this ability, so we're gonna put this in here. Make us a little more tanky. Okay, so then we lock it in. And now we have those 2 perks. And there's a whole variety of perks. I mean, you can see there's all these basic perks and then intermediate perks. Let's check out some of the high-end perks, like master perks. Rapidly killing 5 or more enemies when health is critical, below 30%, heals the user for 60% of their max health. That's awesome. Repeatedly striking the same target increases damage. I mean, these are some very cool augmentations, as you can see. So you can use these perks. They're going to augment sort of your playstyle. What's this one? Increased damage dealt to chosen targets by 10%. Oh, okay. And looks like there's going to be a way to respec those as well. And please, again, keep in mind, I might be missing some things, or I might not be 100% on some things, but I'm no FireFall expert. I just wanted to show you guys some gameplay and talk with you a bit about the game. So I'm going to pick up another job quest here, and this is basically it. Like, this is what, besides doing the main story missions, okay? I'm constantly going back to that job board, picking up new jobs, and that's it. Like, that's what I was gonna hop on my vehicle, but I'm actually gonna take this. And that's it. Like, that's what there is to do in this game right now. Now, there's a few more things. Thumping is your resource gathering mechanic in this game, and so instead of walking up to a mineral patch like you may in another MMO, instead of walking up to a mineral patch and mining from it, in this game you put down what's known as a thumper, and then you're going to thump the ground for resources. So it basically calls down this mining thing, and it starts slamming on the ground. And then you start to get attacked by waves of enemies, and the longer you can defend it, the more resources you get, and that's essentially the gist of it. So that's how resource gathering works in this game. So we're doing these Ares missions. We've got our single player missions that, again, I showed you before. Those are gated by level. And then there's also going to be some PvE, like raid type content in this game. It was just last week, I believe, that they released a video or two showing off some of these big boss fights. Like there was this giant lava worm, and I think it's like a group of 20 or 40. Again, I'm not certain, but you take a group of people in there and you fight this lava worm, and there's going to be some nice end game gear. So that's essentially what the game is at the moment. There's also a open world PvP area. I'm really not digging this frame hitching. Like, it's so frustrating. Obviously, I can adjust the visual settings, but I don't believe that's it, because the last time I was dealing with this a couple of weeks ago, I dropped the video settings all the way down, and again, I told you my computer is pretty damn beefy. But even with the video settings all the way down, this hitching was happening, so I believe something else is the cause of it and not stress on the system. There's something else going on here. Alright, so I gotta meet this guy, whatever. And then he's gonna give me my next objective, or maybe I'll have to kill him. Something like that. All the quests have been pretty straightforward stuff, you know, rescue someone, kill someone, talk to someone. Just basically what you expect. And, you know, as I've talked about many times in the past when talking about MMO questing, I'm fine with that. Lots of people really complain about sort of how MMO questing is, but my response is always, give me a better solution to questing in MMOs. I mean, I guess the best thing to say is it would be great if there was great story that people could really get invested in, but some people don't even care about that. Honestly, I don't typically really care about that all that much either. And it's no different in, say, a game like Destiny. Like, your quests are, it's all one of a handful of things: kill, collect, whatever. So what do you do to make that better? I don't know. Maybe we've got some genius developers watching this video right now who have a solution, but that seems to be a continuous complaint in MMOs. It's like, oh, the questing is the same as every other MMO. I always just wonder, okay, well, what's the solution? We got one? I don't have one. No idea. So that's why I'm okay with it. I'm like, it's about what I expect. Oh my god, damn it. I can't make it up this mountain. I should be able to. I'm just failing at my freaking hover management or whatever. It's just not working. That took much longer than I had to. I just want to go kill something, that's all. That's it. Like, that's all I really want to do. So yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit of time with FireFall. And if you stick around, I might put up another video or two. I plan to play it for the next couple of days at the very least, you know. I mean, I generally spend about a week to 2 with any individual game just because there's so many games that I want to play all the time. But I'll spend a little bit of time with this. I'll give you guys some update videos. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let's go find this Rogue Sin antenna and see what the heck is going on with this. I mean, it's my fault for not listening to the story. I'm well aware of that. But maybe there's someone to shoot.
There it is, boss. Doesn't look like an antenna, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine. This is a cool little area with all these torches. I think this looks nice. All right, here we go. We've got to defeat hostile enemies finally. So let's use some of our abilities.
We've got the antenna.
Okay. There's a couple of guys. You can see their level there. All right, I'm gonna use my 2. I want you to see my 2. So this does some damage, knocks them back in the air. It's gonna set them on fire from that perk that I have. Now everyone calm down. There's also a melee attack. I think I bound that. Yeah, I did bind that. Nice. I'm gonna do my AoE, my immolate, so it's gonna put some damage all the way around me. So these guys are gonna burn up, as long as they're within the range of me. It's pretty small. It's a pretty small range. Look at this. This guy's a pyro. Does he take less fire damage? He should. Makes sense. Right, I'm gonna actually do my thrusters to run by them and have them sit and fire there. See that? That's pretty nifty. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the shooting right now, it just feels a little bit. It's just I can't even exactly pinpoint what it is. I'm sure someone's gonna have do a better job of vocalizing the problem, who's played the game and who knows, you know, knows a little bit more about the systems that go into making FPS games feel very responsive. But it just feels a little bit. There's just a little bit of a delay, and the enemies don't really respond that well, I feel like. But I mean, overall, like, I still love the idea of this game. I don't know that it's gonna be a game I'm gonna play for very long. It's not saying much though, because again, typically I only play games for a few weeks, if that. Just once more, because there's so many different games I want to play all the time, but still. Nevertheless, I'm gonna give it a shake. We'll spend some time with it. I mean, it's here, so. And you can spend some time with it too. You head on over to the Steam store if you like, or even are remotely interested in what you've seen here in this video. You can download the game for free, give it a shot. As far as I'm aware, the cash shop things to this game are all like convenience, things like experience boosters, which will help you level up a frame faster. But also realize, you know, I mean, if you were to just stick with one frame, it's not gonna take too long to hit max level with that frame, which I think it's level 40. But it's not gonna take too long to hit max level with that frame, and you're not gonna need XP boosters if you decide, I'm happy with just playing with the one frame. That's cool. But yeah, that's up to you. That's up to the individual. And the sun's coming up, so that's a great note to wrap up this video on. I just have to return to town and I'll collect my reward. But that's it. Thanks for watching. A little bit of an update on FireFall. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Stay tuned. I'll do some sort of a follow-up video. I like to spend a little bit more time with it, so I'll see you for that. Take it easy. Keep watching and keep owning.